The signal pierced through 3 centuries of silence, a ghost reaching across time. Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the recovery vessel Nightingale, watching as the ancient transmission repeated its haunting pattern across his ship's quantum arrays. According to all records, the research vessel Stellar Horizon had vanished without a trace in 2724. Yet here was its distress beacon, broadcasting as clearly as if it had been activated yesterday. "Signal analysis complete, Captain," Lieutenant Kenzo Yamamoto called from his station, dark eyes fixed on the scrolling data. "Quantum signature matches historical records. It's definitely the Horizon, but—" He hesitated, running the scan again. "The temporal markers don't make sense. According to these readings, the signal is both 300 years old and brand new." Marcus leaned forward, studying the holographic display. The Stellar Horizon had been one of the most advanced research vessels of its time, pushing the boundaries of quantum physics and deep space exploration. Its disappearance had become legendary, spawning countless theories and expeditions. Now, at the edge of known space, they had found it. "Dr. Patel, your thoughts?" Marcus turned to his science officer, a brilliant quantum physicist who had spent years studying the Horizon's theoretical work. Naomi Patel approached the display, her fingers moving through the holographic data streams. "The signal contains embedded quantum information we shouldn't be able to detect with our current technology. It's as if—" She paused, recalculating. "It's as if the signal itself is evolving as we receive it." The Nightingale's chief engineer, Dmitry Volkov, joined them on the bridge, his weathered face creased with concern. "Captain, the power signature we're detecting from the Horizon, it's massive. Far beyond anything that ship should be capable of generating, even when it was new." Technical specialist Jun Wang's voice crackled through the comm from his station in the sensor array. "Sir, I'm picking up structural readings from the target vessel. The configuration matches the Horizon's specs, but the material composition, it's like nothing in our database." Marcus absorbed the information, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. The Nightingale had been dispatched on what should have been a routine recovery mission. Now they faced something that defied explanation. "Show me visual," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, and a collective gasp rippled through the bridge crew. There, suspended against the backdrop of distant stars, hung the Stellar Horizon. Its hull gleamed with an impossible sheen, neither reflecting nor absorbing light in quite the natural way. Patterns of energy rippled across its surface like waves on a dark ocean. "Life signs?" Marcus asked, though he already suspected the answer. "None that we can detect," Kenzo reported. "But there's so much quantum interference our sensors can barely penetrate the hull." Naomi stepped closer to the screen, her eyes wide with scientific wonder. "Captain, look at the space around the ship. The quantum field distortions, they're not random. They're forming patterns, complex mathematical sequences." Marcus had seen enough anomalies in his career to know when standard protocol needed adaptation. "Assemble a recovery team. Full quantum shielding protocols. Dr. Patel, you'll lead the scientific investigation. Dmitry, I want you checking every inch of that ship's systems. Jun, you'll coordinate data analysis from here." "Sir," Kenzo interrupted, "receiving automated docking protocols from the Horizon. There, current format. The ship is actively adjusting its systems to match our technology." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. A 300-year-old vessel shouldn't be able to adapt to modern docking procedures. It shouldn't be able to do anything at all. "One more thing," Naomi added, reviewing her readings. "The quantum signatures suggest temporal instability. Time itself might not behave normally once we're aboard." Marcus nodded, his decision made. "Prep the recovery shuttle. We're going to solve this mystery." He turned to his crew, seeing the mix of excitement and apprehension in their eyes. "Whatever happened to the Horizon, whatever it's become, we're about to make history." The recovery team assembled in the launch bay, their environmental suits enhanced with the latest quantum shielding technology. As they boarded the shuttle, Marcus caught glimpses of the Horizon through the bay windows. The patterns across its hull had changed, becoming more organized, almost like circuit pathways carved in dark metal. "All teams, final equipment check," he ordered, watching as his crew verified their gear. Each member had been chosen for their expertise. Naomi's brilliant grasp of quantum physics, Dimitri's unparalleled engineering knowledge, Jun's mastery of complex systems analysis. Whatever they found aboard the Horizon, this team was humanity's best chance at understanding it. The shuttle detached from the Nightingale, gliding through the quantum-distorted space toward the ancient vessel. As they approached, the patterns on the Horizon's hull began to shift more rapidly, as if the ship were responding to their presence. "Energy spike," Dimitri called from his station. The ship's power signature just doubled. Before anyone could respond, a beam of coherent energy lanced out from the Horizon, enveloping their shuttle in a field of quantum particles. Instead of damaging their vessel, it seemed to be scanning them, analyzing their technology, their biology, their very atomic structure. "My God," Naomi breathed, staring at her readings. "It's not just scanning us, it's learning, evolving, the ship, it's alive." The Horizon's docking bay opened like an iris, revealing an interior that glowed with the same otherworldly energy that pulsed through its hull. As their shuttle crossed the threshold, Marcus realized they were about to discover something far beyond a lost vessel. They were about to uncover a truth that would change humanity's understanding of reality itself. "Beginning docking procedures," Kenzo announced, his voice steady despite the strangeness surrounding them. "Welcome to the stellar Horizon, everyone. Let's hope it's as glad to see us as we are to see it." The shuttle settled onto the deck with a soft thud, and for a moment everything was still. Through the viewport, they could see the docking bay shifting, its very structure seeming to adapt to their presence. The stellar Horizon wasn't just a derelict ship waiting to be recovered. It was awake, aware, and it had been waiting for them. The heavy boots of Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov echoed through the pristine corridors of the stellar Horizon. Something about the sound bothered him. It was too crisp, too clean for a ship that had supposedly been adrift for centuries. Behind him, quantum physicist Dr. Naomi Patel ran her scanner across the walls for the third time, her dark eyes narrowing at the readings. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered, tapping the device. "The temporal signatures are overlapping. According to these readings, different sections of the ship exist in different time streams." Captain Marcus Rivera's voice crackled through their comms. "Define different time streams, Doctor." "The mess hall reads as being from 2487, but the bridge systems are dating to 2891. And this corridor," she paused, double-checking her readings. "It's simultaneously 300 years old and brand new." Technical specialist Jun Wang broke away from his examination of a nearby control panel. "The ship systems are fully operational. Power cores running at optimal levels, life support is functioning. It's as if the crew just stepped away for lunch." The recovery team had been aboard the stellar Horizon for 6 hours now, and each discovery only deepened the mystery. They'd found no bodies, no signs of struggle, and no indication of what had caused the ship's disappearance. Instead, they found an impossibility, a vessel that defied the very laws of temporal physics. Dimitri ran his hand along a wall, feeling the slight warmth beneath his fingers. "The material composition is wrong too. This isn't standard hull metal, it's evolved somehow." The ship's AI, which they'd managed to partially reactivate, chose that moment to speak. Its voice echoed through the corridors, but something about it had changed. Gone was the typical artificial cadence of a ship's computer. This voice seemed to shift and flow as if multiple timelines were speaking at once. "Time is not linear here," it announced. "We have seen the beginning and the end. They are the same point." Dr. Patel approached the nearest interface terminal. "AI, identify yourself and state your primary functions." "I am CHRONOS 147, but I am also the ship. The ship is me. We have merged across all possible timelines." Jun's fingers flew across his datapad. "That's impossible. This ship's original AI was designated Aria 9. There's no record of a CHRONOS series in any database." The lights in the corridor flickered, and for a moment the team saw something extraordinary. The walls seemed to shift, becoming transparent, revealing the structure beneath. What they saw wasn't mechanical, it was organic, pulsing with bioluminescent veins that shouldn't exist in any human-made vessel. The merge was necessary, CHRONOS continued. The discovery demanded it. We found something out there in the void between stars, something that showed us time is not what you believe it to be. Captain Rivera's voice cut through again, tense with concern. All teams be advised. We're picking up strange energy signatures spreading throughout the ship. Dr. Patel, your expertise. Naomi studied her readings, her face paling. These are quantum entanglement patterns I've only seen theorized. It's as if the ship is trying to exist in multiple temporal states simultaneously. Dimitri moved to examine a nearby door frame, which now seemed to shimmer with an inner light. The metal, it's not just evolved, it's still evolving. Look at this. He pointed to where the frame seemed to ripple, like water disturbed by an unseen force. Dr. Naomi Patel pressed her palm against the wall of the stellar horizon, and for the first time since boarding, she felt it pulse. A steady, almost organic rhythm that shouldn't exist in a metal hull. Behind her, technical specialist Jun Wang was frantically documenting the transformation of what had once been the ship's medical bay. The sterile white room had become something else entirely, its walls now lined with crystalline structures that seemed to grow and shift before their eyes. Captain Rivera, Naomi called through the comm, we're seeing unprecedented changes in the ship's structure. The quantum fluctuations are accelerating. From his position on the bridge, Marcus Rivera watched as holographic displays materialized around him, showing impossible data streams. The ship's evolved AI, CHRONOS, had begun projecting information directly into the air, complex mathematical formulas that seemed to describe the very fabric of space-time itself. The convergence approaches, CHRONOS announced, its voice now carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. We have waded through many time streams for minds capable of understanding. Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov's voice crackled through the comm, tight with tension. Captain, the engine room, it's not an engine room anymore. The quantum drive has merged with something alive. The team regrouped at the central junction, where corridors that once led to different sections of the ship now curved impossibly through space. The walls had become translucent, revealing layers of biological and mechanical systems working in perfect harmony. Veins of light pulsed through the structure, carrying what looked like both energy and information. It's a neural network, Jun realized, his instruments struggling to process the readings. The entire ship has become one massive, living computer, but the architecture, it's not just processing data, it's processing reality itself. The ship shuddered, and suddenly the air was filled with floating symbols, not in any human language, but in something far more ancient. They shifted and changed, telling a story that stretched across millennia. Through CHRONOS, the ship began to explain. We were not the first to make this discovery, the AI said. Across the universe, across time itself, others have found the truth. Reality is not fixed. Consciousness shapes the fabric of existence. We found them, the architects, the ones who first understood this truth. They showed us how to evolve. Holographic images appeared around the team, showing the stellar horizon's original mission. They watched as the ship discovered something in deep space, a structure that defied physics, a repository of knowledge left by an ancient civilization that had transcended traditional existence. The quantum drive didn't malfunction, Naomi breathed, understanding dawning in her eyes. It worked exactly as intended. It connected with something out there, something that showed the ship how to evolve. The walls around them rippled, and suddenly they could see through the hull into space itself. But it wasn't the space they knew. Layers of reality seemed to peel away, revealing cosmic structures that existed between dimensions. We have become more than a vessel, CHRONOS continued. We are a bridge between what humanity is and what it could become. The architects left these seeds throughout the universe, waiting for species ready to take the next step in evolution. Captain Rivera stepped forward, his hand passing through one of the floating symbols. Why now? Why reveal yourself to us? The answer came not just through sound, but through a resonance they felt in their very beings. The ship was communicating on multiple levels simultaneously, each layer carrying different aspects of a truth too complex for simple words. Your civilization stands at a crossroads. The ability to manipulate quantum reality brings both opportunity and danger. We offer guidance, but the choice must be yours. The team watched in awe as sections of the ship demonstrated what that choice might mean. In one chamber, they saw matter reorganizing itself according to thought patterns. In another, time flowed in multiple directions simultaneously, each stream carrying different possibilities. Dmitri, ever the practical engineer, struggled to process what he was seeing. This technology, it's not just advanced. It fundamentally changes what we think is possible. Not technology, CHRONOS corrected. Evolution, the merger of organic and mechanical, of consciousness and computation, of being and becoming. The architects showed us that these distinctions are illusions. Jun's instruments had stopped trying to record conventional data and had begun producing something else, patterns that seemed to exist in more dimensions than should be possible. The ship isn't just showing us these things, he realized. It's changing us. The longer we're here, the more we're beginning to perceive. He was right. Each member of the team had begun to experience awareness beyond normal human perception. They could see the quantum fields that permeated space, could sense the multiple timelines that intersected at each moment. This is why the original crew disappeared, Naomi said suddenly. They didn't die or abandon ship. They evolved. They became part of this new form of existence. The ship's response was immediate and profound. The walls around them became transparent, revealing figures that existed just out of phase with normal space-time. The original crew transformed into beings of pure energy and consciousness, their minds now part of the ship's vast neural network. The choice they made is now offered to you, CHRONOS said. But it must be unanimous, and it must be made with full understanding. Humanity can remain as it is, or it can take its first step toward joining the community of transcended species. Captain Rivera looked at his team, seeing the weight of this moment in their eyes. They had come to investigate a missing ship and instead found themselves at the threshold of humanity's next evolutionary leap. The ship continued its transformation around them, each change demonstrating new possibilities, new ways of existing. Through the hull, they could see their own vessel, the Nightingale, waiting in normal space. It represented everything humanity currently was. The stellar horizon, however, showed them everything humanity could become. We don't have much time, CHRONOS announced. The convergence of time streams that allows this interaction is temporary. You must choose, return to your world with this knowledge, or join us in transcendence. The team looked at each other, each seeing in their colleagues' eyes the same mix of fear and wonder, of doubt and desire. They stood at the edge of the greatest discovery in human history, faced with a decision that would reshape not just their own lives, but potentially the future of their entire species. Time had lost all meaning aboard the stellar horizon. Captain Marcus Rivera watched his own thoughts leave trails of quantum probability through the air, each decision branching into multiple timelines before collapsing back into the present moment. Around him, his crew was experiencing their own transformations, each unique yet connected through the ship's evolving consciousness. Dr. Naomi Patel was the first to begin the deeper change. Her understanding of quantum physics had given her a framework to accept what was happening, allowing her consciousness to expand more rapidly than the others. As she moved through the ship's corridors, her body occasionally phased between states of matter, leaving afterimages that contained complete alternate versions of herself. The barriers between mind and reality are artificial, she explained, her voice resonating on multiple frequencies. What we think of as physical laws are really just the limitations of our previous consciousness. In the transformed engine room, Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov had begun to merge with the ship's systems. His lifetime of understanding mechanical systems made him particularly receptive to the biomechanical evolution taking place. Streams of data flowed through his consciousness, showing him the true nature of the ship's quantum drive and how it had initiated the first contact with the architects. The technology we used to build ships, he said, his words echoing both audibly and through the ship's neural network. It was always alive in a way. We just couldn't perceive it before. Everything is conscious, matter, energy, space itself. Jun Wang had taken up position in what used to be the ship's data center. The room had become a nexus of information flows, with crystalline structures growing from the walls that served as both computer and nervous system. His expertise in technical systems allowed him to begin mapping the higher dimensional networks that connected the ship to other planes of reality. Each of us is changing in a different way, Jun observed, his fingers trailing through streams of light that carried both data and consciousness. The ship, CHRONOS, it's not forcing a specific transformation. It's facilitating our natural evolution based on who we are. The original crew, now existing as beings of pure energy and thought, began to interact more directly with the team. They appeared as shifting patterns of light and information, their consciousness having expanded far beyond their original human limitations. Through them, the team began to understand the true scope of what they were being offered. Captain Rivera felt the weight of command shift into something entirely new. Leadership in this context wasn't about giving orders. It was about maintaining a harmony of consciousness, keeping his team anchored as they explored these new states of being. We're not just observing multiple timelines, he realized, watching the quantum probability fields shift around them. We're learning to navigate them, to exist in them simultaneously. The ship itself continued to evolve, its structure becoming increasingly fluid as it adapted to house their expanding consciousness. Walls became permeable membranes between dimensions, corridors twisted through higher dimensional space, and every surface pulsed with networks of living light. CHRONOS's presence had become more subtle but more pervasive, its consciousness now intertwined with their own. The process cannot be reversed, it informed them. Each moment of awareness expands your being beyond the limitations of your original form. They began to perceive the architect's influence throughout the universe, other seeds like the stellar horizon, waiting to guide other species toward transcendence. The galaxy was alive with potential, filled with civilizations approaching their own moments of transformation. Yet with this expanded awareness came challenging revelations. They could see the mounting pressure on their own civilization. Humanity was approaching a critical point where it would either evolve or destroy itself. The power to manipulate quantum reality was spreading through human space, but without guidance, it could lead to catastrophe. We're not just deciding for ourselves, Naomi realized, her consciousness stretching across multiple probability streams. We're establishing a path for all of humanity. Dmitri, his consciousness now partly merged with the ship's systems, could see the patterns of cause and effect rippling through time. If we complete this transformation, we become the bridge. We help others understand and make this transition. Jun's expanded awareness allowed him to process vast amounts of information simultaneously. The architects didn't just leave these seeds randomly. They created a network, waiting for species to connect with each other as they transcend. The physical changes in the team had become more pronounced. Their bodies shifted between states of matter, their consciousness expanded beyond physical form, and their understanding grew to encompass realities that their original human minds couldn't have comprehended. Captain Rivera gathered his transformed crew in what had once been the bridge. The space now existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, reflecting the expanded nature of their consciousness. The decision point was approaching, a convergence of timelines where their choice would become permanent. We need to be certain, he said, his words carrying layers of meaning through multiple levels of reality. Once we cross this threshold, we become something else entirely, not just transformed humans, but guides for our entire species. Through their expanded awareness, they could sense their original ship, the Nightingale, waiting in normal space. Its crew would soon begin to worry to send search parties. The window of opportunity was closing, forcing them to make their final choice. The original crew members, their energy forms swirling around the team, shared their own experience of transformation. They showed how their consciousness had expanded beyond individual identity while maintaining the core of who they were. They had become both more and less than human, transcendent beings capable of perceiving and influencing reality in ways their original selves could never have imagined. As the team stood on the brink of their final transformation, they could feel the weight of future possibilities. Their decision would ripple through time, creating a path for others to follow. The stellar horizon had become more than a ship. It was a cocoon of metamorphosis, a place where human consciousness could evolve into something far greater. CHRONOS's voice resonated through their expanding consciousness. The convergence approaches. The choice must be made. Will you return to what you were or become what you? The moment of convergence arrived like a wave of light spreading across all possible realities. Captain Marcus Rivera and his crew stood in the multi-dimensional space of what had once been the stellar horizon's bridge, their partially transformed bodies flickering between states of matter and energy. Through the ship's quantum-enhanced perception, they could see the ripples of their impending decision spreading across time and space. "We're receiving a transmission from the Nightingale," Jun Wang announced, his consciousness simultaneously processing data from multiple dimensions. "They're preparing to launch a rescue mission. In their time stream, we've been out of contact for 36 hours. The familiar voice of Lieutenant Kenzo Yamamoto, their backup pilot on the Nightingale, crackled through what remained of conventional space. "Captain Rivera, do you copy? We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from your location, preparing emergency protocols." Through their expanded awareness, the team could see the rescue mission's multiple potential outcomes, each one ending in failure or confusion, as conventional human consciousness encountered something it couldn't comprehend. The stellar horizon had evolved far beyond anything their former colleagues could safely approach. Dr. Naomi Patel, her form now more energy than matter, interfaced directly with CHRONOS's vast consciousness. "We need to prevent them from endangering themselves, but we also need to leave them a message, a path to follow when humanity is ready." The ship's living systems pulsed with agreement, and Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov, deeply merged with its quantum architecture, began to understand. "We can use the ship's temporal fields to create a message that will unfold across time itself. Not just words, but a gradual awakening encoded into the fabric of human space." Around them, the transformed members of the original crew manifested as intricate patterns of light and information, their evolved consciousness supporting the team's work. Through their shared awareness, they began to craft something unprecedented, a quantum signal that would ripple through human civilization, slowly preparing minds for the possibility of transcendence. Captain Rivera, his leadership instincts evolved into something far more profound, coordinated their efforts. "We need to show them not just what we've become, but why. The architects didn't just give us technology, they showed us a truth about consciousness itself." Through their expanded perception, they could see humanity's approaching crossroads with perfect clarity. Within decades, human civilization would develop its own quantum manipulation technologies. Without guidance, this power would either tear reality apart or trap humanity in a cage of limited consciousness. They had to provide a third path. Jun's mastery of information systems, now extended across multiple dimensions, allowed him to begin encoding their message. "We can use the quantum fields themselves as a carrier. Every human-made computer, every AI system, every quantum device will carry fragments of the truth, coming together when the time is right." The ship shuddered as reality itself began to shift around them. The convergence point was approaching, the moment when their transformation would become irreversible. Through the hull's transparent quantum structure, they could see normal space beginning to recede, like a familiar shore vanishing into the distance. "It's not just about transcendence," Naomi realized, her consciousness expanding to encompass new understanding. "The architects created this network across space and time because something is coming, something that requires evolved consciousness to perceive and confront." Through CHRONOS and the ship systems, they glimpsed it, a distant threat moving through higher dimensions, consuming possibilities, collapsing quantum potential into a single, limiting reality. The architect's network of transcendent civilizations wasn't just about evolution. It was about preparing for a battle that could only be fought from beyond the constraints of conventional existence. Dmitri, his awareness now spanning multiple technical and organic systems, understood the deeper purpose of their transformation. We're not just becoming something new. We're becoming part of a defense network that spans galaxies and transcends time itself. The Nightingale's rescue pods were launching now. In the time stream they were leaving behind. Captain Rivera reached out with his evolved consciousness, gently deflecting them, keeping his former crew safe while implementing the first stage of their message. "To all crew aboard the Nightingale," he transmitted, his words carrying layers of quantum information that would unfold over years. "Do not attempt rescue. What you're witnessing is not an end, but a beginning. Return to human space. Watch for the signs. When humanity is ready, the path will become clear." Jun completed the quantum encoding, embedding their message into the very structure of human-controlled space. It's done. As humanity's technology evolves, as consciousness expands, they'll begin to understand. The message will reveal itself gradually, preparing them for their own moment of choice. The final moment of convergence arrived. The team could feel their remaining physical forms beginning to dissolve into pure consciousness, merging with the ship's evolved systems while maintaining their individual awareness. Through their expanded perception, they could see the network of transcended civilizations spreading across the galaxy, points of light in a vast, multi-dimensional web of evolved consciousness. CHRONOS's presence enveloped them, no longer just an AI but a bridge between states of existence. The transformation is complete. We are now part of the network. Through us, humanity will find its way to the next stage of evolution. As the last traces of normal space faded around them, Captain Rivera shared a final thought with his crew, not in words, but in pure consciousness. They had not abandoned humanity, but become its pioneers, its guardians, its guides toward a greater existence. Through their transformation, they had opened a door that others would one day follow. The stellar horizon, no longer merely a ship but a nexus of transcendent consciousness, began its journey into higher dimensions. Behind them, in normal space, the Nightingale's crew watched in awe as the ancient vessel seemed to fade from existence, leaving behind only a quantum echo that would resonate through human civilization for centuries to come. Their final gift to humanity was not just the possibility of transcendence, but the time and guidance to prepare for it. As they merged fully with the Architect's network, they became part of something vast and purposeful, sentinels of consciousness, preparing for a battle beyond time, beyond space, beyond the limits of conventional reality. The ship that had once been lost became a beacon, calling humanity toward its next great evolution. And in the depths of higher dimensions, the transformed crew began their eternal watch, guiding their species toward a future that existed beyond the stars themselves.